Hi, everyone. Hi, I'm Alison, and I work at WASPs. And WASPs is an arts charity that was set up in the 1970s to provide affordable workspace for visual artists. And this is really symbolic of the quality of the workspaces that we had. I'd say about 15 years ago, mushrooms, but not the good mushrooms, growing in our studios because they were really dank, they were leaky, they were cold, they were unheated, they were wet, and really not fit for purpose. Cut to 15 years later, and this is South Block, which we won the Rias Andrew Doolan Prize for Best Building in Scotland. And I just want to, run through how we got there very briefly and share some musings, observations about the state of creative workspaces today. So arts and regeneration, it's a kind of known tool, that the arts can regenerate communities and places across the world. It's pretty ubiquitous now. Every town and place across the UK has their own creative quarter or multi-million-pound cultural building. And at the same time, there seems to have been, particularly in recent years, this rise in the concept of the creative economy and a kind of lumping together of arts, creative industries, and a monetising of that and a recognition of what it can bring to the local economy. And I guess the impact of that really shaped WASPs. And this was shown for us in the Merchant City. So way back in 2000, the Merchant City had a strategy led by the council to develop it into Scotland's premier creative quarter. Sounds a bit cheesy now. And so we really kind of latched onto that. And we said, well, actually, we can help you do that. And so we redeveloped two buildings. This is the Briggate Fish Market, old Fish Market building. And it's a Grady listed building, and it had been derelict for years. And we redeveloped that building. There are some of the studios there. And we also redeveloped neighbouring South Block, which is across the car park from there. So it's about 100,000 square feet in total. And now about 350, 400 people from the creative fields work in that area of the Merchant City. And we're about to do a second phase of work at the Briggate, which is to create studios for dance and circus and aerial and trapeze work. So it's about an investment of about 15 million. And the South Block building especially has enabled us to become a self-financing charity and social enterprise. So it was really significant for us and also represented, I guess, a bit of a departure for us as an organisation or an expansion of what we do into providing commercial workspace to the creative industries. At the time, it was quite kind of novel and trendy, and about 5 years ago, and now it's not. It's pretty commonplace. And I think the kind of lessons that we learned from that process is in the early generation of WASP projects, we were just about filling buildings with artists, trying to have secure tenure, stable rents, and improve the quality of the spaces. And now we're much more interested in, creative placemaking, which is a much more sensitive approach, I think, than this kind of top-down engineered regeneration that seems to be happening a lot now. I guess it puts the people at the centre, and it's much more builds on the kind of distinctiveness of a place. The last slide that you saw was an example of wave particles work that they'd done in Helensburgh called the Outdoor Museum, where they took everyday objects that were important in people's lives and elevated them to a kind of museum status. Really, again, special for that local community. This is Witchwood Barns in Toronto, and they do some amazing creative placemaking stuff. But what I wanted to showcase here is, again, another sort of trend in a blurring of boundaries across disciplines, art form disciplines, commercial, non-commercial. And I think going forward, the creative workspaces will be characterised by co-working from companies that share values and ethoses rather than just certain disciplines. So you'll have environmental arts charities working alongside, food co-ops. And this is Impact Hub. Oh God, it's so cheesy, isn't it? It's so cheesy. That's to represent collaboration and partnership working. Sitting on the internet last night trying to find images. And really, I think the architecture of spaces will reflect that. You know, a lot of our studios are quite closed off. And I think going forward, you know, the architecture will promote more collaboration and visibility amongst practices. Map of Scotland, as you can see. So this is where our locations are. And we're also, we've just opened studios in Orkney, and we're looking at studios in Perth and Inverness. And we're in a good, WAS is in a good place as an organisation, but it's mature, it's 40 years old, and we're kind of taking stock and looking to the future and saying, well, what's the future of creative workspaces and creative placemaking? You know, we've got a national network of buildings, but really, like, what does that mean, just to have those physical spaces? It's more, you know, the people who are in those spaces, oh, another cheesy picture. The people who are in those spaces are much more interesting. And, you know, how can we nurture that creative community? We've been quite buildings focused in the last few years. And now I think we've got an opportunity to try and, I guess, harness the potential of the skills and the experience and the talent of people within our buildings to do more community work, kind of build on the social fabric of the communities in which we're based, and try to create, you know, real professional opportunities and income earning opportunities for artists. And one of the ways that we're going to do that is through a programme of exhibitions and events, and try to animate our buildings a bit more. This is a shameless plug for our new studio in Skye that we've just finished, and we were gifted a building, an old kind of black house building, which we've turned into a 3-bedroom flat, and some of these amazing little studio spaces available from next year.